begin.
What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS game by game early look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above. And I highly recommend you do follow. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. For more information, go check us out at WiseTake.com. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. We go live all the time. We're covering all kinds of sports. Our NASCAR streams have been awesome on Sundays. We do those day of the race, for the most part anyway. But do a lot of basketball content, 5 days a week for basketball, 2 to 3 shows a day depending on how we're doing. So a lot of free content. Don't miss out on nothing that we do. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. And if you guys could, you know the drill. You know what I'm going to ask for. I'm going to ask for those likes. You know I'm going to ask you guys to hit the like button because the like button really helps us out. And more importantly, it allows us to continue to do the shows for free. And we want to continue to be able to provide the free content for the nation because we want to keep in touch with the nation. We want to make sure the nation knows the latest and greatest, all the information that's going down. We made some changes since the break. On a personal note, I got a dog. So that was cool. His name is Patches. Pictures will be posted. Follow me on Twitter for that at CK_013. But a couple other changes to the content. So we're very projection heavy. You can see the projections on the screen. This is not what they look like at WiseTake.com. This is just a visual for you guys to kind of follow along. We do offer projections. That's my contribution to WiseTake in terms of content. I spend all day going through these and tweaking the projections to match what we feel is going to happen and give us the best opportunity to win each night. With that said, we also made changes to our cheat sheets. To find our cheat sheets, you got to go to the NBA section or in the menu under NBA, you'll see them. They're now automated to make sure we can get them up, and they're going to be updated throughout the day along with the projections. So once we update the projections, it's going to update the cheat sheets as well. Those of you that are piling in, it's been a while. I know. I've been out of town doing some things during the break. We're here, ready to do dirties like we always do. Neighbors are on alert, no doubt. What up, Will? Will in the YouTube chat. Yo, what's good? Good to see you guys. Missed you guys, really did. Really missed talking to you guys. Because if I'm not talking to you guys, I'm still talking, but I'm talking to myself. So it's nice to be able to have you guys with me so I don't seem too crazy. Because you know what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I know who I am. It's all good. But definitely glad to be back. Feels good to be back at the home base doing dirds with the WiseTake Nation like we always do. We got a pretty interesting slate today. We got some injuries to keep track of as usual. We've got an awesome $4 donkey on DraftKings. Haven't decided if I'm going to ante up and 150 it or if I'm just going to stick with the mini max. 100 grand up top is certainly tempting, but we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get things rolling here with the Atlanta Hawks visiting the Philadelphia 76ers. We've got a 228.5 total. The Hawks are 8.5 point underdogs. Philly has been one of the worst road teams in the game. Inversely, they've been one of the best home teams in the game. So they are home in this one, but they're going to be missing a couple pieces. Ben Simmons, we know, is already ruled out. Tobias Harris is actually a game-time decision. He was doubtful as of yesterday. He's a game-time decision today, so there could be some things to look at. We actually have him out, as you guys will see in a second. But we're going to start off with the Atlanta side. I just want to pull up the schedule notes article. The schedule notes article is a free article we do at WiseTake.com. My boy J. Herb does it. He's not going to, I think tomorrow or today he can't do it. Okay. I know he's out of town for the next couple of days, so he's not going to be able to do it today, I think. But needless to say, we're going to get things rolling here. And as we get the news, we'll update as always. The Y stream will take place as usual 2 hours prior to lock, with the first hour being with myself. We're going to try to incorporate some guests in the near future. Not necessarily every show, but we're going to see what we could do. Reach out to other communities, reach out to other people that we know in the industry and bring them on the show. Because at the end of the day, we just want to provide you guys with the best product. So stay tuned for the Y stream going forward, as you should, Monday through Friday. Our final look, if you will, as we get news and everything else. Anyway, puppy choking on shit. You know how that goes. Or do you? First up, we got the Atlanta Hawks. So Kevin Huerter continues to play massive minutes. We'll have to check the status on DeAndre Hunter. He missed the last game, which led to Cam Reddish playing a ton of minutes. And as of right now, we have him in, but because he was out for a personal thing. So assuming that he's back in the flex, he's actually been performing pretty well. If he's confirmed in, I'll raise his minutes a little bit. I just was reluctant to raise him too much because if people are doing dummy teams, I don't want to get a bunch of a guy that may be out. But Trae Young, this is a phenomenal spot for Trae Young. Josh Richardson is a very good defender. I'm not going to say necessarily it's going to be easy, but Trae Young is playing monster minutes. We have him at 38.5, 39 minutes, whatever it may be, and that's what he's doing. I mean, in the last game, he didn't really perform. He played 40 minutes in 2 straight games. So I do like Trae Young once again as a potential spend-up option. Cam Reddish is a guy to keep an eye on. If Hunter is in, I'm not as interested because his price has come up. But if Hunter's out, I think we could take a look. John Collins also played extremely well in his last game against Dallas, going for, I think, 60-something DraftKings points. So we got to respect the upside, although his price has really gotten up. If he goes for 60, you're fine with that. But how often does he go for that 60? You're going to have to make that decision. And they are playing Philly, who's not necessarily a super fast team, a team that does emphasize defense. Again, they're missing Ben Simmons, so I think is going to be a blow to their defense, but they still have other defenders for sure. Dwayne Dedmon looks like they're trying to play him minutes, and he's a pretty good he has a pretty solid point per minute average. The issue, of course, is he's been getting in foul trouble a lot. So if he's getting in foul trouble, that's going to limit his minutes. So with Joel Embiid on the other side, I am a little concerned that he's going to have a hard time staying out of it, but I guess someone to consider as a potential value center, and I assume his ownership is going to be low because people aren't going to want to take that chance, but definitely some interesting plays on his team, but Trae Young would be my favorite. On the Philly side, again, waiting for injuries. So, again, we had him out when we did these projections because he was doubtful initially, Tobias Harris. So, assuming Tobias is out, if he comes back in, we'll have to make some adjustments. But if he is out, I'm definitely interested in a lot of Sixers. This is a pace-up spot against Atlanta. They don't play defense, and we're going to see higher concentrations of usage. Josh Richardson looks like a pretty awesome play. Honestly, regardless, but especially with Ben Simmons being out, I think he's a phenomenal option against Atlanta. Alec Burks is a question mark. His usage while he's been on the court has been great. His price on FanDuel is extremely low. It's more his DraftKings price that keeps me kind of weary. Only because we don't know. But if Tobias and these guys are out, maybe he does see more minutes. We'll have to see. They still seem to want to work in some of these guys like Furkan Korkmaz and Milton and all these dudes. So I don't think it's necessarily a lock that Burks is going to get extra run. But on FanDuel, he's definitely worth keeping an eye on at that price. Glenn Robinson, also extremely cheap. If Tobias is out, I would imagine he could benefit as well. He started the last game, so that's something to keep an eye on. They moved Horford to the bench, so we'll have to see what the starting lineup looks like closer to lock. Al Horford. If Tobias is out, I'm willing to play Al Horford. If Tobias is in, I'm going to be reluctant again. But if Tobias is out, we're talking about 2 high-usage players missing from the starting 5 that I think will give him a boost. I know Horford's been coming off the bench, but I would assume that they'd be willing to play him more minutes in the event something like that were to happen. So I do like Horford. Again, this is if Tobias is out. I do like Horford. But my favorites here are going to be Josh Richardson and Joel Embiid. Phenomenal smash spot for Joel Embiid. The usage boost with Simmons off the court is massive. With Tobias off the court, it's going to go up even more. I think with Simmons and Tobias out, Embiid showing up with a 36.9% usage rate on the season with a 1.64 fantasy points per minute. With that said, Josh Richardson showing up at 27.4% usage, 1.05 fantasy points per minute. And even Al Horford, our buddy Al Horford, smaller sample because these guys don't miss together often. 22.4% usage, 1.04 fantasy points per minute. So again, a situation we're going to want to keep an eye on. Philly could be a team if they do deal with these injuries. It's the difference to me liking 2 to 3 of these guys or 3 to 4 of these guys. So make sure you pay attention. If Tobias does play, I like Tobias in a pace-up spot. His price is a little elevated, but again, on FanDuel, he's really cheap at 6-1. 7-1's not bad on DraftKings either. So if Tobias is in, then he becomes one of my favorite options. Probably him, Embiid, and Richardson. But for right now, if he's out, Horford, Richardson, and Embiid are my 3 main targets, and we'll have to keep an eye close to the lock. But as you can see, if Tobias and Simmons are out, we've got a lot of dudes projecting pretty well. Embiid only 5.59x on DraftKings, but factor in that the raw points do matter after a certain point, and at that price, the raw points are certainly going to come into play. So Philly definitely a team to keep an eye on as we get closer to lock with the news. Holla! I'm going to do one more game, and I'll pop in the chat, say what's up to y'all. I know some of y'all pouring in. And I did miss y'all, so I want to make sure I give y'all a proper greeting. We got the Milwaukee Bucks visiting the Washington Wizards. We have a 243.5 total, just massive. I think it's by far the highest total on the slate. Yeah. And we have a 238.5, and still, 243.5. The issue, of course, is Milwaukee is a very good team. Washington is not. And because of that, Milwaukee is a 13-point favorite on the road. It's the same story with these guys. Bledsoe, Middleton, Giannis are your main targets. The issue, of course, is how many minutes are they going to play. If this game is a nasty blowout, it's hard to envision all these guys getting all the minutes. Giannis can go for 70 and 32 minutes, so I'm okay with Giannis as a stud. He still projects well. I think we have him at 32.5. It rounds up to 33. Brolo is kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure why we have Brolo showing up well. Let me analyze that for a second. I mean, he's min price, so that's probably why. But we do have him for a decent amount of minutes here, and I just want to look into why. There must have been something that I saw. Oh, yeah, because Brook Lopez is out. Duh. Okay, yeah. I knew there was something. I was like, if I did this, there was a reason, and that's the reason. So definitely a potential value option to keep an eye on, Robin Lopez. Washington is terrible against centers, too, so it could work. I would prefer it if he starts. I think he will. But if he does start, I think that's a solid value that we can take a look at here. And 23 minutes in that case, 23 and a half, whatever we have him at. Let me see what we have him at exact. Yeah, a straight 24. That's probably too cheap at this point. If he is going to start up against Washington, who is a terrible team, so definitely a value option to keep track of. I'm glad I reminded myself about that. George Hill also min price. I'd feel a little more secure with Robin Lopez simply because I think that's a positional thing with Brolo out. Robin Lopez plays the same position, so that's kind of where I'm at there. But I do have interest here. This is a massive total. I know it's blowout city, but I'm hoping we can get some of these guys to reach value before the blowout. I think Giannis is your place where you're starting, and then Middleton, and then Bledsoe, simply because Middleton is just more aggressive on the offensive end, and Bledsoe has been the one who's really had a reduction of minutes, playing like 27 over his last two since the break. So with that said, I think that there's definitely, we got value with Robin Lopez. I think Giannis is my primary, and then Middleton and Bledsoe are your tournament plays, game stack city if you're trying to go game stack route. Now on FanDuel, Bledsoe and Middleton are a lot cheaper, so I'm a lot more content taking shots on them over there. The prices really aren't asking for a ton. I mean, 6-1 and 7-2 for those two guys, it's just really, really cheap. So that's where I'm at with that one. On the other side, we've got, let me see what we're looking at here, right here. On the other side, we got Washington. They're been a little tougher to figure out. Bradley Beal did play like 39 minutes or so in his last game. That's promising because that's where he was playing when he was going Smash City. As they've gotten healthy and made some trades and whatnot and picked up some players, his minutes were reduced around 34, 35. Not that that's bad. That's like a regular starter in the NBA. But he's a player that the usage is not just enough. We want him to be getting 38 to 40 minutes, similarly to Trae Young. So I'm willing to take a shot at him at this point now that I've seen that they're willing to play him those big minutes. The issue, of course, is the blowout. So if this game does blow out ugly, does he get full run? You don't want to be scared and not play him at all because of the blowout, but you do want to be conscious of this going into it. The other guys are a little riskier to project. Rui Hachimura, Davis Bertans played massive minutes in his last game, but they've all kind of been inconsistent in their roles. They are healthier than we've had in the past. We've got Mo Wagner, we got Bryant playing off the bench in a limited capacity, so there's not a ton I want to go crazy with here. I think that if you want like an oddball value play kind of thing, Shabazz has a lot of upside. He's not playing a ton of minutes though, so it's mainly Beal for me. And this game has a massive total. I think Beal. I think you can make a case for Bertans. I don't mind Hachimura, but again, he's just kind of been a little inconsistent. And on a slate this size, I just feel like maybe we could find something better. But again, I respect the fact this is the highest total on the board by far. So I think Beal, if you think this game has a shot to stay close, you should be loading up on Beal because that's going to be how this game stays close. Is Bradley Beal does dirties, catches them sleeping. But again, don't want to scare anybody away. We got a lot of fantasy points waiting in this game. So just because it's a blowout doesn't mean we have to run for the hills. This is the highest total on the board. Just make sure you make a conscious decision when you come here. But as of right now, Bradley Beal looking like a decent option. And to be honest, because of the inconsistency of the minutes for the rest of the teammates, it's harder to project. There's not a ton of people popping aside of him. So we may have to go through, make some adjustments, and make some changes. Because, again, this is a game with a massive total we're going to want a piece of. Let me load up the next game, and then I'll pop in the chat real quick and say what's up to some of you guys piling in here. What we got here? Miami at Cleveland. Sounds exciting, except it's not. Here we go. Spread some knowledge and get that green. That's what's up, Mr. Jones. Anthony Vespi. Harden. Okay. We like it. Thomas Bryant just got ruled out? Okay, well, that helps, honestly. Thomas Bryant getting ruled out does help, if that's true. We got some news point at DFS Diva providing us with some news in there. Much appreciated. Let me pop into our Slack channel real quick and just take a look at some of the other injuries that may have come. So, yeah. Bertans is questionable. So, Thomas Bryant is out. Shout out to Shout out to DFS Diva for hooking us up with that one. We talked about Tobias upgraded to questionable. Davis Bertans is currently questionable, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. If he were to miss, see, now this is where things would start to open up for us with the Washington side, and that's kind of what we needed. Bryant out means that Mo Wagner's going to play more center. Maybe we see Bertans' minutes be a little more solidified and secure. Now, Bertans is questionable. If that happens, it'll definitely provide us with a much clearer path on where to go into. So we'll incorporate all this stuff into the projections as we go throughout the day. Make sure that you are subscribed to WiseTake.com to be able to access those projections and access the cheat sheets and kind of see where we're at. I wanted to, if we have time at the end, I'll kind of show you what the cheat sheets are looking like as of now, just to give you guys like a guesstimation, like a rough estimate. Can see what we're doing with that. But yeah. So Mo Wagner is a guy that's we're gonna want to take a look at, a hard, long and hard, if you know what I'm saying, long and hard look at, for sure. But shout out to all you guys. Appreciate those of you who are here. If you haven't hit the like button, please make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us out. Goes a long way. Trying to keep an eye on my pup while I do this stuff. I mean, he's a 3-month-old puppy, but he's big, man. He's like 22 pounds. He's a big dude for a 3-month-old. He's tearing away at these bones I got him. All right, let's go on to the Miami side. So let's start off with some Vegas info like we normally do. We've got a 222.5 total. Not as exciting, coming off a 243.5 total. Miami is currently 6-point favorites on the road. Cleveland's been terrible, right? Like Cleveland's just been god-awful. Jimmy Buckets has been out for personal reasons, and he's expected to be out again today. Tyler Hero still expected to be out as well. So they are missing some bodies. It makes something a little bit clearer for us. Kendrick Nunn played massive minutes in the last game, even though it was a blowout. Definitely someone that we're going to keep on our radar. Derrick Jones Jr. got the start for Jimmy Buckets. Should he start again? Now, again, it's not the greatest sample in the last game because they blew him out so badly that the starters didn't have to get their full run. But something to keep an eye on for sure. Going through, we've got Duncan Robinson, always an interesting value play. Maybe we could raise his minutes a little bit with Tyler Hero out. They've just been relying on him as the sharpshooter. Jay Crowder should get more solidified minutes. I like Bam Adebayo against Cleveland should the situation arise where they hang tight enough to make this game interesting. Goran Dragic, I think, was very disappointing, but I'm willing to go back to him, man. Cleveland is not good against point guards. They never have been, like for years now. And I understand that Dragic didn't see the run that we thought he was going to get in that last game, which may be why he's projecting. He got 26 minutes against Cleveland. That was a massive blowout, and he still went for 30. So I'm still willing to go back to him. I think that in a close game, he would get the minutes needed. So let's just raise him up to like 30 and a half minutes, and let's see if that affects him at all. Because, I mean, the price is up, so it's going to be a little tougher to reach. But we'll see. We'll see if this update goes through here in a second, and taking a look at what that does for him. But again, like Kendrick Nunn, some of these guys we're going to be looking at. I should probably raise Kendrick Nunn's minutes a little. I'm just reluctant because we saw him kind of getting phased out a little bit, even when guys were out, because they did get Andre Iguodala. They did get Jay Crowder, and they've been working some of these guys in. But with Buckets out, that should definitely open up some room. And this is a guy that's been playing with the team the full season and has been fairly aggressive, going up against a bad defense. So I'm good with Nunn. Like I said, Derrick Jones Jr., should he start again, I'm cool with as a value play for sure. And I think Dragic is someone that we may want to go back to in tournaments. I don't know why this thing isn't updating like it's supposed to, but it will. I did change his minutes on the actual projection. For some reason, it's deciding not to update, but, dirties will be done. No, here we go. Now it's coming through. Here we go. Here it is. There you go. So he's looking a lot better now with 30 and a half minutes. Maybe you raise that to 31, make him even better, but I like the matchup and everything. Can Cleveland keep this close enough to not be a joke? I think that's the main question. On the Cleveland side, man, they're confusing as shit, right? Kevin Love is probable, I believe, but everybody's minutes have kind of gone to the shitter. Andre Drummond's gotten to this team, but they're not really giving him a real chance, I don't think, so that's going to keep it hard to play him. Now, his price is at a point where we're not really used to seeing him this low, but again, he's just not getting big minutes. Let's see what he played the last time these guys did their thing. Drummond got 25 minutes against Miami. Granted, that was a blowout, but he got 22 and 22 the 2 games before that. So it seems like they just don't want to push him. Like they're just going to they want to rotate him with Thompson and kind of see which center stands out. So that's going to make it really tough for us to rely on anyone from Cleveland unless there's massive amounts of injuries because they're fucking around with their minutes. They had said they want to give Kevin Porter Jr. a lot more work. They want to make him more aggressive, play him, let him run the offense a little bit, let him score a little bit. He got into foul trouble one game and then got ejected, and the next game only got 13 minutes, maybe as a punishment. So he would be the one that I would be most interested in. But again, being this how he's had 2 games where his minutes were capped for whatever reason, it makes me a little reluctant to fire away. It makes me feel like I said about some of the other situations. We got all these other games to work with. I just feel like I should be able to find a better situation from a different game or a different team. Next up, we got the Orlando Magic visiting the Brooklyn Nets. We've got a 214 total, again, kind of unexciting. Orlando opened up. Brooklyn is 3.5-point favorites at home. How about that? The Orlando side of the ball is the one that's going to get somewhat of a pace boost. Not that Brooklyn is mega fast, but we know Orlando is extremely slow. So they're the ones that we expect to get the main bump to here. I think that Nikola Vucevic is in an awesome spot, and he's been playing some really big minutes lately. We'll have to see if that's something we think is going to be consistent. Vooch got 37 minutes against Dallas in their most recent game, and that was a game that ended 106-122. Against Detroit before the break, he played 40 minutes against Detroit. So I think that game may have went to OT. I'm not quite positive, but the minutes have been pretty solid for him. And this is an awesome spot, right? Centers against Brooklyn. They've been playing DeAndre Jordan more. He's a better defender than Allen, but Jordan is not that great around the perimeter, and that's kind of where Vooch makes his money. So I do like Vooch in this spot. I like Aaron Gordon. I don't love the price, but the minutes have been good. But for me, it's mainly Vooch. I think Evan Fournier is also interesting at his pricing. I'm cool with that as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. But definitely Vooch is someone I want to keep an eye on for sure. Doggy Patrol, man. Getting into stuff. You know, play with your toys, boy. There you go. All right. Onto the Brooklyn side. So as usual, your first stop, your first situation is going to be Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert. Those are the first 2 guys you're going to want to look at. Now the prices have come up on both on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, they're both definitely within reach. We know the usage for these guys with Kyrie out, and I think Kyrie has season-ending shoulder surgery, or at least he's going to be out for a little while. So I'm good with Dinwiddie. I'm good with LeVert. Curious to see LeVert. I'm gonna have to give a little more to if I want him on DraftKings, because at his price right now, we're not really gonna reach a ton of them. So that's a situation we're gonna have to monitor. But I think Dinwiddie is fair enough at his price and where he's at. I'm okay with him on both sites. I'm okay with both of them. But Dinwiddie is the one I'm realistically more likely to reach on DraftKings. Again, I don't want to overreact. I'm not trying to get overexcited. This game has a 214 total. We have some really, really good games on here. But again, when we have situations, even though the total might be low, when we know that they're concentrated to a degree, I think we can get comfortable with that. But anyway, DeAndre Jordan also, that's something to keep an eye on. DeAndre Jordan has been playing bigger minutes. Jared Allen is like on his, I don't know, man. I mean, I get it, man. They need some defense. They're getting slaughtered by centers pretty much every day. So I do understand it. But the issue, of course, is we've seen them play in circumstances where they've gone a little smaller and the minutes don't even add up for both of them. DeAndre Jordan got 20 minutes against Charlotte in a blowout. He got 37 against Philly in a game that I believe went to overtime back on the 20th. But he's been winning the minutes battle. So definitely a guy I think we can keep an eye on. For sure. We've got the New York Knicks visiting the Houston Rockets. Let's take a look at this. So we're waiting here. So Frank Nitti, we did just hear, is ruled out. We'll have to pay attention to that. And then Elfrid Payton is still questionable. They haven't made a decision on whether he's ready to play or not. So something to keep an eye on as we get closer to lock go throughout the day. If that happens, give a boost to RJ Barrett. If that happens, we have to look at Dennis Smith Jr. again, who's been awful as chalk every single time he's gotten these opportunities. But now that Frank Nitti is already out, if we lose Elf, it's just him and RJ Barrett left playing point guard. So I do think his minutes will be there, at least enough at his $3,300 price tag on DraftKings, $35 on FanDuel, to warrant playing him. I think Julius Randle's kind of interesting in this spot as well. His price has come down to a reasonable point. I know he hasn't played all that well, but it's a pace-up boost against a team that's small. So I'm really not willing to like phase him out necessarily of the situation. I think that Julius Randle and Julius Randle, maybe DSJ, All these guys. Hold on, I'll be right back, Nation. Three-year-old niece and a 3-month-old dog. Phenomenal situation we got here. All right, so Mitch Robinson and these guys are also interesting, but they've been really inconsistent, so it's hard to really commit. But it's a pace-up spot for the Knicks. Definitely a massive pace-up spot for the Knicks. We have a 229.5 total, which is high for a Knicks game. The Rockets are currently 13.5-point favorites, so there's definitely blowout risk. But I'm interested in Julius Randle, and should Elf get ruled out, I think we have something to keep an eye on between R.J. Barrett, and DSJ, Dennis Smith Jr. After that, it's kind of hard to decipher. Nobody really stands out a ton. Maybe they play Mo Harkless. We've seen other teams in the past play Mo Harkless a ton in these situations, but we'll have to wait and see. Going to the Houston side, I think that... Again, Eric Gordon came off the bench last time. We're going to have to wait and see what he does. PJ Tucker has become extremely cheap. We know that they went out and got guys like DeMarre Carroll. Who else did they get? Bruno Caboclo. I can't ever say his name, but they're not really playing him a ton. So the rotation remains extremely tight. We've got Russell Westbrook and James Harden as your main two culprits for the spend-ups. I'm always going to prefer Harden slightly. I just think he has more ceiling at this moment. But I don't want to ignore Westbrook either. And with Frank Nitti out, the defense, that he's the best defensive guard the Knicks have. So I'm interested in both these guys in terms of studs. PJ Tucker, a guy we're going to look at, but we got Robin Lopez, may not need him, which I'm glad. I hate playing PJ Tucker. Eric Gordon, certainly a variable, right? We got to see what the situation is. He came off the bench last time. He's dealing with a little bit of a lingering injury. So this is a situation we don't want to ignore. Again, we have a blowout projected total, but we know where a lot of the usage is coming from on one side of the ball. I think Covington is in play. I always prefer it to have a guy out before we play him, but he's definitely in play. For sure. We've got Minnesota going up against Dallas. We've got what we got here? We've got a 238.5 total. Dallas opened up -14. They're up to down to -13.5. We know Luka and Porzingis are expected to play. This is a back-to-back for Minnesota. We know that. So starting off with the Minnesota side, Naz Reid, if he can stay out of foul trouble, has shown that he's going to be a solid point-per-minute producer. So it's a foul trouble issue. Is he going to be covering Porzingis? That's going to be a problem for him. Is it going to be Maxi Kleber? That may not be as big of a deal. So something to monitor. I was way too aggressive on him last night. I should have lowered his projection of minutes a bit just because I knew he was going up against Jokic, and he ended up getting into foul trouble. That was his issue. He played well while he was on the court, but his minutes were capped because of the foul trouble. D'Angelo Russell's expected to play in this one. I don't mind him as a potential stud for tournaments. I think his ownership will be fairly low with everybody flocking to a Stars and Scrubsy approach and him kind of lying in the middle there. Malik Beasley, I don't mind either. He played against Denver. One thing I'm a little reluctant on the Minnesota side is they did play in Denver last night. That is obviously a tough place to play. Altitude, all this. We see a lot of teams kind of struggle their next time out. So I'm a little reluctant on some of these guys. But D'Lo didn't play in that game. That's why I'm okay with him. I think there's merit to taking a look at guys like James Johnson if you are concerned about the Naz Reid foul trouble. But in this game, the Dallas side of the ball is just so much more attractive. Luka Doncic is back. He projects to be one of the top studs, and we have the value to fit him in. Kristaps Porzingis also projects well. Minnesota is one of the best teams in the game to target against. Again, we have a 238.5 total, which I believe is the second highest on this slate. So Dallas is a team I'm willing to load up on. We've seen Luka go for 70 in 30 minutes. We've seen Porzingis post big numbers as well. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it all. I like both of them quite a bit. I don't like a ton of their teammates because of it. Even with Jalen Brunson out, I just really want Luka. I really want Porzingis, and that's pretty much it. But they're two guys that I'm going to want a good amount of, for sure. I'll check on the chat just a second. All right, we're going to make it work. That's what we do, make things work. Check on the chat real quick. Rui season. Bill Billis says Rui season. I feel you. Orlando, Brooklyn, stay away game. I understand that because of the total, the pace. I agree. It's one of those situations where, like, if the game goes to overtime, then, everybody that played that game eats. But I agree, it's not my first choice by any means. We have a lot of games that are way more attractive so far tonight. Again, Nation, appreciate those of you who are joining us now, rocking with us. If you can hit that like button, helps us out, allows us to continue to do the free content. So please hit that like button. Where we are at the moment, again, I'm going to have a lot of Luka as of now. I'll probably have a decent amount of Porzingis as well, because attacking Minnesota has just been DFS gold ever since the changes that they've made. Next up, we've got the Phoenix Suns visiting the Utah Jazz. Let's take a look here. We have a 224.5 total. The Jazz opened up -7.5, up to -8. Starting with the Suns side, it was a good sign to see Devin Booker and Oubre both play monster minutes last time out. It's never a great situation to go into Utah to play, but with some of the guys getting healthier, like Aaron Baines, Cameron Johnson, Dario Saric, we saw that Oubre and Booker weren't getting those 40 minutes a game for a little bit. They were getting around 34, 35 apiece. But in their most recent game, Booker played 38. Oubre, I think, played 39. So that's a good sign. I just don't love the situation. I wish it was a little bit better. Ricky Rubio finally had an eruption game in his last game. Got well over 30 minutes, played well. But it was one game. We don't want to overreact. And again, there's some reluctancy at the fact that they're playing in Utah with the altitude. But as far as pricing goes, I think the pricing is pretty fair. DeAndre Ayton could be tough to reach, but we know he's played monster minutes. Even with the bigs coming back, he's still playing big-ass minutes. So a guy to keep an eye on. It's going to be hard to reach, though. We have a lot of other situations, a lot of other players that I'd rather spend my money on, so it could be tough to reach, especially when you consider one of the stronger value plays is at center and Robin Lopez. Next up, on the other side, we got Utah. I think Gobert is very interesting in this spot. I think his price is low enough. Phoenix has really struggled against centers. Gobert's played a lot of minutes all season. I think Mike Conley is interesting. He's played really well. It's good to see him playing 34 minutes in each of these games that he's been in. So Conley and Gobert are my favorites. Donovan Mitchell, I don't mind. He seems to be just like a consistent 30 to 40, having a hard time really showing some ceiling. I think Houston was the spot that fit him better, and he failed to really make enough of an impact. Well, I guess at that price he was that day, it was fine. But now at 75, that wouldn't be good enough. And this may not be as good of a spot, but still a decent spot. Phoenix not known for their defense. Not known for much. Definitely not known for the defense. Jordan Clarkson, I prefer him when a guy's out. He's just a tournament option. He's got the upside. He could play 27 minutes and just drop threes all day. But he's not a guy I'm ever going to have a big stance on if everybody's healthy and he's coming off the bench. I just can't rely on that. Unless it's a small slate, then you take chances. Next up, we got more value to discuss. We got the Memphis Grizzlies visiting the Los Angeles Clippers. We have a 233 total. The Grizzlies are currently 9.5-point underdogs against the Clippers. My pick. The Clippers are my pick. No hot take here. Clippers are my pick to win it all. I'm riding with the best player in the game, and right now I think Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the game. With that said, we know that Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, so that's going to open up things for our boy, one of my favorite plays on the slate for sure, Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark was supposed to start. There was a game where Jaren Jackson Jr. was suspended earlier this season. They said Clark was going to start if he played. He was questionable that day. He ended up not playing. So I think now we get that opportunity. I think he starts today, but we'll have to wait and see. We won't know probably at lock. We'll have to wait till after, but I'm assuming he's going to start, and even if he doesn't, I'm assuming he's going to play significant minutes. And he's got a phenomenal point per minute average. And the Clippers struggle against big. So I like Brandon Clark a lot today. Josh Jackson, we've got projected for fair minutes. He's also extremely cheap. He's played relatively well on limited minutes. DeAnthony Melton is a guy with big upside at a low price. He's got a very low floor, but his minutes we would expect to be a little higher as well. I'm good with a lot of these guys. Dylan Brooks. Normally Memphis is a team I have a hard time loading up on, but when they have an injury, it's a little easier to concentrate in on. I like Dylan Brooks. I like I like them all, but my favorite is going to be Brandon Clark. The Gorgeous Dong, Gorgie Dieng, a potential pivot off of Robin Lopez if you wanted to have somebody at lower ownership. He's a little bit more money, but again, with Brandon Clark, assuming Brandon Clark does go into the starting lineup at the 4, Gorgie Dieng is going to have to play some backup center, so he's going to get some minutes in that spot. And Joval is a guy they don't typically play 35 minutes a game, so the minutes should be significant. With that said, I also like Joval. He's more risky in that the team could decide to go smaller, move Brandon Clark down to the 5, etc. But there's also a scenario where he's doing too well. They don't want to take him out of the game, and he's just dominating him down low. And his price has also dropped. So Memphis is a team that I'll be rotating a lot of these guys. Brandon Clark's my favorite, but I'll be rotating a lot of Memphis guys today against the Clippers, who have been an awesome team to target fantasy points against as well. The biggest issue here, of course, is the blowout, what happens there. On the other side, this seems a little tougher to project, right? We know Reggie Jackson's here now. We don't know how much he's going to play, but Paul George is questionable. If he gets ruled out, I will love Kawhi Leonard. I already think Kawhi Leonard's an interesting option, but I would really love Kawhi Leonard if Paul George were to get ruled out. He's got a hamstring strain he's dealing with. That would also make Marcus Morris a better player in my opinion. I'm being cautious with Marcus Morris's minutes because his usage and his role is not the same as it was when he was on the Knicks. We got to keep that in mind. So I don't want to overreact. He's played big minutes, but his usage has not been nearly the same. So his price is low. Should Paul George get ruled out, I think that's a path for him playing a little bit more. I could be cool with that. But it's kind of a murky situation. I like Lou Williams a little bit more in that sense. But with assuming that Patrick Beverley is in, which I don't think we've gotten full confirmation, he's still questionable. He's still questionable. So if he gets ruled out, that'll help. Him and PG get ruled out, that'll really help clear things up on the Clippers side. So again, keep an eye on the projections. If you're subscribed to WiseTake.com, keep an eye on the cheat sheets. As we get news, we'll be making adjustments throughout the day, and you'll see things kind of move around. But yeah, this last game, Late Night Hammer, I'm definitely interested in that respect, just to kind of show you guys what the new cheat sheets look like. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys what the new cheat sheets look like before we get up out of here. I'll see you guys hopefully at 5 p.m. to resume our usual activities. So I'm going to show you there's a couple ways to get there. You go here to the section. You got projections, cheat sheets. That's one way. If you just go to the NBA section, I'll show you another way. Here, now we're in the NBA section. Move this over a little bit for you guys, right? This is the NBA section of the site. We simply go to cheat sheets. If you do it this way, it'll ask you if you want DraftKings or FanDuel. We'll go with DraftKings for now, just as an example. And this is what the cheat sheets are going to look like. So we have the high-end guys. It's already ranked in point per dollar. So these are the players as of right now, the top 5 pay-up point guards. So guys that I believe over 7,900. This is the order in which they rank. As I said, Luka Doncic ranked the best for us, and he's certainly up there. And if you see, there's nobody fit the criteria. If you go to the mid-tier, it gives you the 5 best ranked mid-tier plays at each position. We can see right now Spencer Dinwiddie at the shooting guard position if you're looking for mid-tier. Goran Dragic did elevate. And this updates immediately with our projections to make sure you guys have the latest information. So this is available at WiseTake.com for WiseTake Nation subscribers. We offer day passes, all that stuff. If you're not interested in that stuff, you don't need that stuff, that's fine. Just rock with these shows. The shows are always going to be free for you guys. I just wanted you guys to understand that we do have options and explain kind of how they work, even if it's just for our current members now, because we did make some changes. So I know sometimes they're going to be difficult to deal with. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us. I appreciate those of you who have hung out with us. Again, the cheat sheets and everything, they're going to, they're going to update as we update the projections, doing what we can to make our content as innovative as possible and keep it the top, man. Our content's been awesome. We had a guy win money in XFL in a Slack chat. Shout out to him. I know Paul Diddy's taken over the Core Plays article since I've been heavy into projections and cheat sheets, and everything's been going great. So I appreciate you guys who support us and continue to hit the like button and continue to subscribe and check us out and hang with us, man. It goes a long way, and it allows us to continue to do this, which is what we want to do, is level the playing field a little bit and make sure that people have a legitimate shot. We have some great contests today, so I'll be around. Usual content at WiseTake.com, and we'll be back. Make sure you're back here 5 p.m. Eastern to start the Wise stream, the game-by-game final look. In the second hour, I'll bring on Paulie, and we'll talk some game theory, answer some questions, and do all that shit. So other than that, hit the like button if you haven't already. Can't reiterate it enough how much it helps us, how much we need it. But basically, you guys, but not enough people know about the nation. Everybody listens to the same people saying the same shit. They can't relate to these people, and we're trying to level that playing field. So give us some support. Hit the like button. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.